Everybody, welcome to the Interesting Modelling Company Sunday service.
You never open with a funny quip anymore, do you?
No, I had them. I lost them, Drew. I'll work on it. I'll work.
You lost the joy.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Judi Dench hasn't been a part of our shows for
That's true. Yes, yeah, I know. It was right. Okay, I remember what you said. We always used to. For those of you who are new to this, we always used to open up with, and I'd say something like, and then Judi Dench opened the window, and then the car fell off the road or something,
Yeah.
and then it would just be, like, oh, hello everybody. But it's old hat, Drew. Well, we've done that anyway. A little bit of admin there. Hello everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service. Servicing both ends of Somerset tonight, north and south. How are you keeping, Drew?
All right, yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty quiet week overall. I used to hate saying quiet when I was a police officer because that meant everything was about to go wrong. Now I say it at every opportunity because I don't care anymore. Quiet. There you go. It's a reasonably quiet week. Working on the little special hobby Mirage, yes. But that's work really. Lots of overtime while it's there.
Well done.
Lots of overtime to buy models.
Yes, sadly that won't be overtime you'll be spending at Telford, but hey ho, it's
no.
We've discussed this already on the show, so. Yeah. As I said last week, your presence will be missed. I know I'm traveling up with Mr. Farmer, so it's like it's reacquainting an old kind of like the how we used to go to Telford 20 years ago. But I will, if we end up going to the Riverside Fishing Cafe, I will sit there and think, it'd be nice if Drew was here. So.
Well, anyway, I appreciate you.
That's the only compliment you're getting out of me tonight, mate.
Was it ever thus?
Was it ever thus? We've got a lot to talk about tonight, new kits and things. But I think what we will start off with tonight, hold on to your horses, everybody, because JM has finished a model. There we go. This is
that's due in 2 weeks now.
Oh, shush, man! For God's sake.
I mean, don't write it off, John. That's 2 in 2 weeks.
Okay, fair enough. I know. Anyway, look, this is the Italeri 35th scale Humvee that I built for the hobby company for their display for Telford. It's straight out the box. I think the only thing that I did, which was somebody's suggestion, was I painted the toe kind of dark green. It should be olive drab, but and just a bit of weathering on it, and that's it. It's just a straight from the box model. First time I've ever built a Humvee, so I just went for the desert one because that was nice and simple, and it gives me an opportunity to do some weathering. And yep, absolutely, I've enjoyed this from start to finish, and it is yet another example of what I was saying about get out of your comfort zone. Ordinarily, I would never build a Humvee, but there we go. I seized the challenge. I was asked to make one, seized the challenge, and I have absolutely enjoyed it from start to finish. So there we go.
It always reminds you, Humvees always remind me of Francois in the late 80s and early 90s when it was just Humvee was almost a permanent fixture in his dioramas, wasn't it? There was always a Humvee somewhere along with the Abrams and the Bradleys and stuff. So it just always, do you know what? I've never ever built a Humvee. Isn't that weird? Yeah, exactly. Because I build armor, a modern armor, and I've never ever built a Humvee. Which is
I've never built one up until.
Which is odd because I think it's such a neat little vehicle.
Yeah. Like I say, this was the Italeri kit, which was first released, I seem to remember, 1987, I do believe it first came out.
Yeah, I suspect, as often happens with these companies, that and the Tamiya one were probably within a year of each other.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't much. I mean, as much as Tamiya often Reeboks Italeri stuff for the domestic market, they also do their own things, don't they? So I think there was probably not much, because I know Tamiya certainly did a quite a variety of different ones with the Bushmaster gun and all sorts early on. But yeah, it's one I keep thinking I must build one at some point. I must build one, especially as it's now sort of, no, it's not reaching the end of its life, because there's probably hundreds of thousands of them about. They'll be around for decades yet, but you know, it is being replaced now. So
no, I absolutely enjoyed it, and again, this kind of goes into my mantra of, if I am asked to build something, I'm just not going to turn it down, because I could have done that 4 years ago with the Italeri Vespa moped. Turned out to be the best modeling project I've done in recent years. You know, the one that I've enjoyed the most. So I'm quite happy to suddenly have a box turn up on the doorstep with the instruction, "Can you make this?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, fine,
build that."
Talking of which, my next project, and I got to crank this out for Telford, is that. So we did put up some pictures on the Facebook page for that. So I am really looking forward to doing that, because being a rally car, I can do some weathering.
And it's a rally car, of course you should weather it.
Yep, absolutely.
Proper racing, exciting racing.
Absolutely. Right, I'm just going to say hello to everybody before we dive into the meat and potatoes of tonight's full menu of news. So I'm going to say hello to Anthony Bird, Lee Suter, rather, Simon James Colley, Dougal McWougal, Russell Taylor, Derek Clark, Jim Altergott, Dave Fleming, Agent Fleming, hoping to see you at Telford. Scrolls down. John P. Huston, Paul Milligan, Michael Hooverling, Stephen Pryor, Rory's modelling page, never heard of him. Stan Codling, Nick Brown, Crazy Loca, Theron Hampton. Going to run out of breath here. Alan Richardson, Jeff Baker, Kev Tinker, Shane Weir, good day, Shane. Michael, I like a mystery. Greg Woodbridge, Stuart Bellingham, Making Model Haggis, Travis Thompson, Scrolls Down. We're going to get t-shirts made that say Scrolls Down.
Scroll down.
Yeah, Locks 9, John Connolly, Dave Coward, Rob Monfie. Hello, Rob. Dave Swindle. Anfield Road layout in the loft. Good victory yesterday. Anfield Road layout. Excellent stuff. Paul Cave, Jim Altergott, Powell Krupovich, Craig Sargent, Tony Surridge. Scrolls down. Anyway, full house tonight. So thank you, everybody who has tuned in. You what? Sorry?
The Buckholts just showed up.
Oh, hello, Chris. Excellent. It's we'll try and get Chris on the show at some stage. Chris, we're going to try and get you on the.
Just occurred to me, do you know, in the last 10 years, I've been to more gigs with Dave Fleming than I have model shows.
Yes. I think I've probably been to more gigs with you than model shows. So, anyway, shall we breeze on? See, wind-related kind of joke here. Shall we breeze on with the news, and
quick before we start the news?
Oh,
that's now on release. Okay, so I'll just do a quick a quick 2-minute.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just because I got a couple of these turn up now. It's basically it is really nice. The surface detail is a tiny little bit heavier than the Mirage 3, but I like it. I like it like that. But you've got actually in the kit you've got 2 different fins because there was 2 different heights of fin.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there you go. You've got both styles of underwing tank and a large bucket of instant sunshine for it. Really nice quality plastic, which we now expect pretty much. More stores here, rockets, really nice interior. You've got two ejection seats for it. You've got the Republic one, and I believe a Martin Baker one for some of the later European-based aircraft. So what you're getting in the kit is really a very comprehensive package. I love the fact that the air brakes have been posed closed, so there's no thank you. Yeah, so obviously the fuselage parts there. So yeah, I believe the Suez boxing is already out, has just been released, so I'll be getting those as well. Clear parts, as ever. I'm not going to take the clear parts out of the bag, but there's two canopy parts for raised and shut closed canopies, because if people don't know, the F-84 the F-84F, I should say, the Thunder Streak and the Thunder Flash had a really odd pantographing sort of canopy arrangement to open the canopy. So they've covered that with 2 different canopies there. Special mask. There goes. I've ordered some masks. They've already done the masks for them, so I think that's about that. They were about £4. So that's worth it just to save the time. So, yeah. But the thing I really wanted to, I just want to show, might as well just show the really nice set of instructions and 3 very colourful aeroplanes. All 2 of them European based, and one's in the US. Now, one of the things, what I do want to especially mention here is that we know that I've been a pretty vocal critic of Eduard's decals in recent years.
I hadn't noticed.
Had you not? No, I tend to speak as I find. So these decals here, obviously they are printed again by Eduard with their new sort of fangled processes. These are the best ones I've ever seen from them. Aside from the fact that I think the blue of the national insignia is perhaps a little bit
washed
too
out.
light.
Yeah,
it's not washed out actually. It's just light.
Okay.
So because you've got to be careful, because previously some of the strong colours that they've done on these sheets have been washed out and faded and that sort of thing. These actually look really usable. The carrier film isn't really clumsy like it has been. If I catch the light, hopefully you can see the carrier film.
That's nicely done.
Whereas before they would be just massively, big clumsy swathes of carrier film. Now, if you look at the markings, you can see that the carrier film is really quite closely cropped to each design. So I always think it's important when you're overly critical of, well, not overly, but when you're really critical of something, if things improve, you should mention that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of starting to think that Eduard, they've had a rough half a decade, really, which is far too long, getting these decals sorted out. This feels to me like they're really getting it sorted now. And these look, I'm looking forward to using these rather than looking for alternatives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've got nothing about these markings makes me worried about using them that I can see. Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to show people the kit because obviously it is brand new. But
I also think it's
like I say, I think it's really important to say when you think something has improved significantly to mention that as well. So it feels to me like Edward are starting to get the grips, and I think the same with the. I'm looking
Got a
behind.
question from Michael. He says, "Look carefully. There are 3 types of injection seats."
I knew that. I knew there were 2. I didn't see the third.
And Anthony says, "Drew, is the plastic smooth, or does this one have that rough feel that some of their kits have?"
No, it's to me that's dead smooth.
Yeah, Michael's already answered that. He says it is smooth. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, no, that is
Michael.
That is dead smooth. Like I said, I don't think you can really see it. You can't focus on it, but the detail is, I don't think there's too many complaints there, is there?
Do you know what? I know some people didn't like the detail on the gnat, but I liked it. I thought the gnat. I mean, when did I build that? It was about 5-6 years ago. I think the gnat was one of the best engineered kits I've made in a very long time.
Well, this is a little bit heavier than the Mirage, but it's also significantly more refined than the gnat. So it's probably a little bit finer than the Super Étendard from Super Mystere from a couple of years ago. But no, I'm really, really impressed. I think it's a great aeroplane. I'm hoping they'll follow it up with a Thunder Flash. So yeah, hopefully we know there's at least 2 more boxings to come. So there's a NATO and a Suez one to come. So yeah, and it's kind of like it's 19-20 quid. I think that's
par for the course these days.
I think that's good value for money for what you get in the box.
Before I forget, I do believe that you are also building one of the new Tamiya F-35s, aren't you?
Well, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Oh, I didn't. Yes. I mean, I obviously I sat down yesterday to start playing with this. And over the course of a very few hours, this is where I've got now. I'm building this as a very simple. It's going on a stand in flights as agreed with Andy. But this is typically Tamiya. All these are all separate parts which have been just dropped into place and glued, and you can see the fit is absolutely just perfect.
It looks like it's molded in one piece, doesn't it?
You literally cannot tell that's a separate part, can you? There's like these 2 doors here are separate parts that I've added. So the interior here, so the main fuselage here, all this lot has been sort of stuck in place because it makes a really, really sturdy assembly. And again, all of these doors here, all the weapons bay doors, the undercarriage doors, these are all separate parts that have been dropped into place and glued. And like I said, as we previously discussed, apart from my clumsy glue mark there, which I've sanded out, you literally can't tell they're separate parts, can you?
No, if you hadn't have told me, I would have assumed that Tamiya molded everything shut.
Yeah, no, that's all separate door parts. And so let's have a look. So I'm just painting the so there's the forward fuselage part. So the intakes, I'm sort of busy painting them at the moment. The intakes will clip on to like so. That'll clip onto there like so.
Oh, it's like Lego, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that drops into there like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the interior in place, your top drops on, and well, there you go.
They're quite good at this, aren't they?
Yeah, they've been around the block a couple of times, haven't they?
Yes.
It's it's just and I built the other things. So obviously I'm building it in flight, so these have been built and they will just look. it literally is
Ridiculous. Yeah.
like Lego, and they will just pop into place. Boom, like so, that like so.
Yeah.
And there's the jet pipe which I'm assembling, and hey,
Yep.
that just plugs into there like so, with a couple of covers to go over it. Yeah, it's pretty typically what you'd expect from Tamiya these days. In that I was confident. Also, the entry ladder door there, that's a separate part, which, no, really, it is a separate part. So yeah, it's an absolutely tremendously enjoyable. I mean, I just ended up yesterday just spending a few hours just sticking bits together because I was kind of, I believe, what they call vibing with the kit, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so much fun. And then that'll plug into there. You've got this really nifty little stand which you will screw in under there, and then it'll sit as an in-flight one. Oh look, there you go. There's no glue.
Lovely.
There's no glue there. So yeah. So like I say, this is a white boxing, but it is a complete white boxing. This is the actual kit as it will be released, as far as I can tell. What a delightful experience this has been so far. So now we're into the bits where I'm kind of painting I've base coated the interior with black, so there'll be a lot of masking and grey to go on. And I've started painting the little bloke using some of the techniques that we see Mr. Kovac use, very sort of zenithal, and then some thin overcoats and stuff. So, because obviously it's going to be in flight. So, you run out of superlatives for stuff like this, don't you? It's just perfect. It's just such a, I mean, the biggest challenge literally here is going to be painting. I mean, obviously I discussed with Andy doing an in-flight one because I think it looked really cool on the stand as an in-flight clean, RAF one in-flight. But it was also because of the time constraints, because I need to get it finished for the show. And as it is, I think sort of, that's after one day. I started that on Saturday afternoon, and that's after one day. So give it a couple of days to paint the interior parts for that. And, I suspect, I'll be painting that by the middle of the week.
Yeah. Alan asks, are you going to finish it RAF or US Marines?
Well, RAF. I say that, but I built the Italeri one last year, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I did the Italian one. So,
okay.
I mean, the thing is, the Italeri one's a nice model. I enjoyed it, but it's not that nice. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just. No, I'm sorry, Dave. They are RAF. However you cut it, there's no fleet air on ones as yet. They're all RAF. We got 17 Squadron and 617 Squadron are the only squadrons flying the F-35, so they're RAF, aren't they?
I'm just going to say that I do believe that myself and Mr. Pollard are scheduled to be, I think either one of us will be putting one together at Telford on the Hobby Company stand as well. So even though you won't be there, Drew, you will be there in terms of plastic made, which pleases me.
Yes,
pleases me a little bit.
I mean, sometime between now and the show, I mean, when this is finished, I'm gonna drive up to see you one day.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm just
right.
I'm sick of the excuses, John. We got.
The Christmas is coming up, mate. I think save it for Christmas. Save it for that. We'll watch.
You know what I mean? He's already making excuses to keep me away.
I know. It's anyway. Shall we? Well, thank you for that. That's that hopefully, and people were asking, is that 72nd or 48th? It is 48th, isn't it?
It is 48th. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's crack on with the news then. And well, goodness me, I think there is only one kit announcement this week that is catching everybody's attention, most people's attention, that is. That's Gecko. Good Lord.
Yeah. It's an interesting choice. Funnily enough, after looking at this earlier on, I went on a bit of a hovercraft sort of Wikipedia run. Because that's actually a development of the SRN5.
Yep. Yep.
It is actually the British design.
Mm-hmm.
And they used a few of them in Vietnam, didn't they? But did they actually get to Vietnam? Did they actually get to Vietnam?
They did, yes. I do believe they did. And yeah, this is the US Patrol Air Cushioned Vehicle version of what was the SRN5. But goodness me, that anybody who complains that kit companies aren't adventurous these days, I mean, goodness me, look at that. I shudder to think what this is going to be in terms of a retail price. I don't think, I'm going to stick my neck out here, I don't think you're going to get much change out of a ton for this. But it does look absolutely glorious, doesn't it?
I'm not sure it's going to be that expensive.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think we'll be looking near 60.
Okay.
It's not that big. I don't know. Maybe
it's not that big, Drew, but it looks like they've put a lot going on in there, especially with the full interior and everything. So
no, it is. I look forward to seeing. I mean, I will certainly never build one, but I look forward to seeing others who did build them, and I'm hoping that Mr. Kovac's looking at it, because I think that would be rather spectacular, wouldn't it?
Oh goodness me! Especially after he did that A7V, for him to do one of these would be that would be absolutely marvelous. It really would.
It's actually, looking at it, it's actually a very attractive machine as well. I think
it's well balanced, isn't it?
Yeah, I really think it is. It's as attractive as something that that blunt and bluff can be. Actually, yeah, it's very well proportioned. So yeah, I look forward to seeing them built. It's nice.
Yeah. Now I'm going to bore you with a bit of tedium here. That according to the old Wikipedia, the SRN5 was subsequently developed into a stretched variant, which was designated as the SRN6, and this model had a much expanded payload capacity and went on to be produced in greater numbers than the SRN5. Ready, folks? Here comes the trivia bit.
Yeah.
The SRN6 also appeared in the 1972 John Pertwee Doctor Who story, The Sea Devils, which I watched on BritBox the other month, and it's still quite terrifying stuff. It really is. And obviously it'll be coming to BBC iPlayer soon, because all Doctor Who stuff is being switched over to BBC iPlayer, so that's jolly good.
All right.
But yeah, but I think this is an absolutely fabulous release. Will I build one? Probably not. But that's not gonna mean I'm not gonna derive a great deal of satisfaction from seeing other people putting them together, painting and weathering them. So you're right there, Drew.
Sorry, I was looking at my phone for a second.
Oh, God. What?
I was distracted.
You were distracted. Oh, look, a squirrel. Shall we drone on about something else now?
Go on.
Seamless link there. Seamless link.
Yeah.
Now, I get the funny feeling this will be something that will factor into your modelling vocabulary at some stage, won't it?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it was a shame it wasn't more successful. because it's a spectacular. It's a spectacular engineering feat, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, this Mach 3.5 or whatever drone. It just unfortunately, it unfortunately didn't work. that's unfair. It was probably 20 years ahead of its realistic time, if you know what I mean.
Here is the damning with faint praise part. Retired in the early 1970s due to poor performance, including aircraft being lost over the Soviet Union and China.
Yes.
Oops.
Yeah. But it's just, but it's a, you know, it's just a remarkable feat of engineering.
Yeah.
And you know, had they had access to more advanced modeling, computer modeling and stuff, I suspect that all the problems would have been ironed out. Because I mean, the only reason it took out, the only reason it destroyed the SR-71 was because of when it was released. Generally, the SR-71 did a negative G maneuver, so it cleared the aircraft really quickly. And on one of them, on one particular launch, they didn't do the negative G maneuver, so it didn't clear the aircraft and collided with it. So, but it, you know, it was, albeit not particularly successful, it was, you know, used operationally. So it's you know, very much a part of the US Air Force's history, shall we say.
Yeah, I get the funny feeling that there's probably more parts in this kit for the trolley than there is for the actual drone itself.
Yes, I would not be at all surprised. That's a really nice looking trolley, actually, isn't it?
It is. I'd buy it for the trolley and the free drone kit that they chuck in there. I know some people will be filling in the blanks and thinking, Clear Prop going to do a 48 scale SR-71. No, I don't think they are.
I don't think
I famous last words, obviously, but no, I think this is just a one-off. And
they have got a history with doing some drones. They've done a few drones now, haven't they?
Exactly. I was going to say, this is, if you look at the box art, it does say UAV sprues, but yeah, here we go. It did say somewhere on their publicity that UAV series. There we go. So yeah, it is. There is a reason why they're doing it, and it's not because they're going to do an SR-71. So
yes, I think somebody. I think Jim also got. Is this Clear Prop's first 48 scale kit? No, it isn't. They've done a few, including they've done the Sky Shark in 48 scale. And some other prop engine things, I think, in 48 scale. So no, it's not their first 48 scale kit. They got form, haven't they?
They got form, haven't they? Talking about the hovercraft, Carlos Ruiz says part ship, part tank, part aircraft, a little for everyone. I agree. I absolutely agree, Carlos. Yeah, again, we're coming back to that thing. Anybody who says, "Oh, this hobby's getting boring," look at that. Look, we've got a hovercraft and we've got a D-21 drone kit with a trolley. I mean, goodness me, isn't this hobby in rude health in 2023?
Yes, very much
absolutely.
So. Very much so.
Now we're gonna be even ruder. Woo! Freedom are doing a 1/16 scale BMW R75 with sidecar. Now 1/16 scale seems to have really taken off this year. So many manufacturers kind of jumping on board, doing kits and you know, other bits and pieces. But this does. I mean, I've got the old Eschi Reeboks by Italeri 1/9 scale BMW, but this does look. It looks a different world, really does. This does tempt me, I've got to say. I just something about this.
It's the first time I've seen anything from Freedom model kits for a few years now as well.
Yeah,
They kind of faded away, didn't they? And
they were doing aircraft, weren't they?
yeah, they did F-20 and
Yeah.
some other stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, and IDF, the Chinquo, I think. But yeah, they seem to fade. They did some ships as well, didn't they?
They did.
They did.
No, they have been chugging away. They've just not been doing stuff that you and I probably
caught our attention.
Yeah, flashes up on our radar of interest. But no, this. I mean, I'm not ambivalent about 1/16 scale. It's not something that greatly interests me. However, this does, and it just, yes, I could see me going for this. And it does look like that's
it's still not a big model, is it?
No, exactly. I mean, if you ever built any 35th scale motorbikes, Drew, they're tiny.
Yeah,
they're absolutely.
So something 4 times the size will be still not a big model.
No, exactly. And then we come with 3 schemes apparently in the kit: an overall North African dark yellow one, overall grey one, and then a tritone camouflage one as well. If I can find one for a price I like the look of, I might just bag one of them. On top of all the other kits that I still won't get around to building, but exactly.
Yeah, you're hardly on your own there, are you?
I was just going to say I'm not on my own. Russell also reminds me Freedom also do a 1/16 scale Kettenkrad. And Russell also reminds me that at some stage I have got to build my Italeri / Eschi 1/9 scale one. It's got to be done. I'm just finding I keep asking Andy, what excuse can we have for me to build one? You know, I've got one. What excuse can we have for me to build one? And I've got that and I've got the Kubelwagen as well. They're impressive kits, but
I mean, what are they from 78, 79?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was back in the days when we used to, you'd go into like a Beatties or a Hamlers or whatever, and they'd have a massive Eschi display, and we'll have our Eschi talk another time. I think you and I have very fond memories of them as a manufacturer, and in fact, their kits are still out there. So
absolutely. Anyway, many of them are still available and get rehashed, re-released at various points, don't they?
Yep. This next news item, as you pointed out, Drew, this was announced a few months ago, but it seems to have caught everybody's attention again, and this is Eduard finally getting around to doing a P51B/C Mustang. Hurrah! It may come as a shock to you people, you good people, that with the last time we had a new P51B/C kit was actually 2001. So that was 22 years ago. Prior to that, people are probably going, but what about Tamiya and Accurate Miniatures? Yeah, that's pretty much close to 30 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, the Tamiya one was what, 1995?
96.
95 and 96, yeah.
Yeah, as was the Accurate Miniatures ones. So they're both.
I mean, the ICM one is basically the Tamiya one. It's just this is when ICM were less less than they are now. Shall we say that?
Yeah.
I really love the fact that Eduard, for stuff like this, you know, where some of them had a fin and some didn't, they just do a new tool fuselage these days.
I was just going to point that out.
I really like that.
They haven't tried to kind of go for bits that you add on. They've just gone 2 different kits, 2 different fuselages.
Yeah.
And it does it. Do you know what, Drew? Looking at these kind of like sprue diagrams, what I do like about it is it doesn't look overly complex.
No. When that's released as a weekender, that's going to be very much a weekend kit, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that is going to be a 3 or 4 day build. So, you know, yeah, I like Mustangs. So I very much look forward to this because again, there are just so many schemes for P51Bs and Cs, aren't there?
Yes.
So many schemes.
Christopher Joseph Buchholz says, "I know a good book to inspire your build of that kit," said the author whose own
He's all right, but I don't go much on the author.
Said the author whose own P51C by Armour still awaits its paint. Like I say, we are going to get Chris on the show because he's absolutely brilliant, and we love him. We love you to bits, Chris. And but there we go. I mean, I know there will be people going, "Oh, not another P51 Mustang." Well, hang about. You've got your SRN5 hovercraft and your D21 drone. So, you know, the kit companies can't always do the esoteric. They've got to do something to bring the money in. And I think this looks absolutely brilliant, Drew.
I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say I hope it paves the way for Allison Mustangs. So there you go.
I would not be surprised if Edward eventually went down that route. He said doing a Stewie Griffin, with his voice going up like this. No, it wouldn't surprise me if they did. But yes, this is a solid choice by Edward. And
Jim also got there saying, will this Mustang include a Malcolm Hood option? Jim, if you look at the sprue shots that John just showed, there is the Malcolm Hood option already there.
Yep, there it is.
So right in the middle. Right in the middle there.
Right in the middle. Just right in the middle there. Unfortunately, I can't. Actually, let me just go and see if I can. We're going to do a little bit of editing live on air. Bear with. Okay, here we go. This is just for Jim. Jim, you've stopped the show stone dead because I've just gone in to do a bit of editing to bring something up, and here we go. So, yeah, I was just going to say, there we go. So the Malcolm Hood is there. Literally, Malcolm is in the middle.
Yeah. Open and closed options. Look with a tendon and the closed option looks like it's got the rails molded in with it.
Yep.
Which is
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. It's another one. I hesitate to say long overdue, but very welcome nonetheless.
Well, you can Drew. You can. I'm going to let you have long overdue because, as I said, we've not had any new 48 scale P51B/Cs for over 20 years now.
I mean, it's not P51H, but you know, we'll forgive them that.
Oh, let it go, man. Let it go. Goodness me. Right. Last news item for tonight, and this piques my interest considerably. This is IBG, and they're bringing out another variation on
what
their.
On earth is going on there? Right. Oh, it looked like a half track. It looked like a half track with a turret, and then oh no, that's a trailer, isn't it? You see what I'm looking at?
Yes, I can. I can understand your confusion, and you know, this is IBG. They have already done a Panzer II Aus B. Now, here, this is where it gets interesting, as befits the interesting modelling company, because the German army had two different designations for the Aus B. If it was capital B, it would be the one with the standard running gear. If it was lowercase b, it would be the one with what was apparently almost the same running gear from the Panzer I. So yeah, there are two iterations of the Aus B, but it all depends whether it's a capital or a lowercase one. That makes sense?
Sort of.
If it's a lowercase one, it's that one with the Panzer I running gear. I know.
German World War II armor just it kind of it gets really, really complicated really, really quickly, doesn't it? It's just so. Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. That that image makes perfect sense.
It does look.
Painting was a little bit confusing.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I do like the look of this. I'm a big fan of the Panzer. I'm a big fan of the Panzer I and the Panzer II family, and yeah, the fact that this one's got a little trailer, it's got an external fuel tank effectively, and it's also fitted with kind of like mortar/rocket launchers as well. I like this, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, I'm suitably, and I'm presuming, would it be early enough in the war for the grey and brown scheme?
Just having a look at the one. Yeah, that's just great. I think it probably might be. I'd have to go away and do some have a look in my book,
because that would, even as somebody who doesn't build German World War II armor, that would pique my interest enough.
Well, didn't we have that discussion? Who was it who did the dual boxing of the Panzer I, Panzer II? Was it Tacom or somebody like that?
So I think it was Tacom, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That I said I'd get one, and then you can have one kit, and I build the other. Do you know what? We'll do that for the new year, and we'll do it as a challenge. We'll bring the challenges back. There we go, folks. But yeah, I like the look of this, and like I say, I am a big fan of the Panzer I and the Panzer II family, and this is a kind of like a merging of them into one vehicle. So, yep, big thumbs up from me, Drew. I like this. I don't know how much this is going to be.
IBG are generally pretty good. I would think that's going to be in the £30 sort of bracket, 30, 35.
I'm just doing some live typing here. About 40, yeah, somewhere in the region of the 44. I know, I tell a lie. I've just found it on the Scale Model Shop for £31.49.
Yeah, there you go. I thought so.
Pretty good.
Yeah. IBG are generally pretty nicely priced.
Yeah, but this I like about this one is just the addition of the trailer. I like all the clutter that it's got. And again, I could see Martin Kovac building one of these.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It actually reminds me. It takes me right back to 2010 and watching videos of painting that big one. Who was it?
Well, that was Miguel, wasn't it? Yep. That's
I see people saying that Edouard have announced as Ju-87, but I think that's looking forward to 2025 for a Ju-87 series.
There were some things that snuck out after I'd finished writing up the script for tonight's show. So we will be playing catch up with some news items next Sunday.
It seemed like a bit of an odd, because it was E-Day last week, was it? Something like that.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a bit of an odd one because, as I think Craig Sargent's alluded to, they've formally said that their 48 scale S199 is being delayed because sales are down and they're focusing on more sort of saleable models, if you like, so Mustangs and things like that, for in effect doing it exactly right. If sales are a bit down, you focus on the stuff that you're going to sell 1 billion of as soon as it hits the market, like Mustangs and 109s. And the slightly more esoteric stuff like the S199, much as I would love a new one in 48 scale, I understand why they're, I understand their thought process for delaying it a little bit. So yeah, I think the next two a bit, and they said the same because they've done a Blanick glider as well, weren't they? They've said that's going to be delayed slightly. because it's a bit, again, a little bit esoteric. So I think what we're going to look at in the short term is probably an expansion of the 72nd scale Messerschmitt 109 line, the P51B for next year, and a MiG-21 F-13 as well, the very early MiG-21s they've shown stuff for now as well. So they're sort of rounding out the MiG-21 series in 48th. So yeah, I mean, Edouard is still going to be busy. They're just rejigging they're rejigging their schedule. I don't think they've dropped anything. They're just rejigging the schedule to make.
Here we go, Drew. This might answer your question. There we go. There is one of them in that purple.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
Is that the sound of Drew's debit card I can hear being flexed?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm taking it away. Don't need to encourage you. But again, it speaks volumes for how relatively healthy this hobby is in 2023.
It's not even relatively healthy; it's obscenely healthy. Let's be honest. It's just, in my lifetime, I've never known the hobby as dynamic as it is right now.
Yep,
and
I agree.
And we've been saying that for
20 years.
Yeah, absolutely, we have, though, haven't we?
Yep.
Because we're old enough to remember the dark days of the 80s and the early 90s, aren't we?
Yep.
Before it all before the hobby sort of exploded again.
Yep.
So yeah, very much, yes. We're living in a golden age that's gone on for several decades now.
Yeah.
And shows no sign.
I'm agreeing with you, Drew. I just it's like we constantly look and think it's just utterly amazing how this hobby continues to thrive. And now we're just coming up towards the end of the show, and I'm going to let you have about 5 minutes of a rant, right? Right. I know. I'm right.
A rant about what?
The rant about this, right, is, and I'm going to quote you here, right? If you think the cost of entry to Scale Model World is excessive, don't go. Look at that. I solved your problem in one sentence. Yay me. Go on, Drew. The floor is yours.
I mean, there was a thread yesterday on Facebook somewhere, and people were talking about how much of a rip-off £23 to attend Scale Model World is, and saying, there's no excuse for it to be this expensive and all that sort of thing. And I'm just sort of, if you don't agree with paying that money to go to one of the biggest model shows on the planet, don't go. But don't expect them. No, nobody's lining their pockets from running Scale Model World. They're not. The costs cover expenses. Even seeing how much traders pay and stuff like that, and it is expensive to trade there, without a doubt. But there's nobody running away with pockets full of money from Scale Model World. So they've done the sums and come up with £23 to enter for the day as being a fairly reasonable sum, and I would argue that it is. It's not, when you look at, I will pay, I've paid over £100 to go to a gig in recent years. Generally speaking, going to a gig these days is £30 or £40 for 90 minutes of entertainment. And I think I'm getting reasonable value for money. Football, go to see a Premier League match, get back to me on how much that is. I don't know. I've been told you're looking at upwards of £50 for, again, 90 minutes of entertainment. Against that, 23 quid for a day's looking around one of the biggest model shows on the planet. doesn't strike me as being overly, too expensive. It's put 50p in a box each week. Put 50p in a box each week, and then you've got price of entry at the end of the year plus the cost of a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Russell Taylor makes a very good point, and that is IPMS members still get in free.
Yeah.
Right. So I would suggest that if people don't like the idea of paying 23 quid to get into Telford, become IPMS members. You get a free magazine throughout the year, and you get in for free. And you're supporting one of the premier organisations. There we go. Dave, Agent Fleming says, join IPMS and get in for 28 quid. There we go.
And get a magazine every other month or what?
Yeah, precisely.
It does exasperate me a little bit. And I know, don't get me wrong, I understand that some people genuinely don't have much disposable income. But 50p a week throughout the year is not beyond the means of most people who have any disposable income.
Paddy's Model World makes the very good point, and that is £23 is a pittance to attend Scale Model World. Same people moaning are the same ones walking around with pounds and pounds and pounds of kits they have bought there.
Absolutely. I don't get it. And it makes me quite reactionary in saying stuff like that. If you think £23 is too expensive, that's fine. Don't go.
Right. And I know Rob Monfils is watching tonight. Rob, can you correct me on this? Is that £23? Is that per day, or is that for the whole weekend? And Lox9 mate, yeah, okay, that's a very good point. He says, you forgot traveling expenses. Yes, I do understand traveling expenses. But it's one of those things, is that see, Dave makes the point. It cost me about £100 in petrol to get there. Okay, Rob says it's per day. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for clearing that up, Rob. But yeah, you and you always used to joke that we'd say Telford was our Hollybobs, didn't we?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, what the traveling expenses to get there, there's hotel rooms, and it literally became a small holiday because we went up on the Friday, we went to the museum, we got that, we did all this sort of stuff and had a really good, it was almost like a weekend away with a model show thrown in. We always used to go out for a meal on the Saturday night and have a right old time with a few drinks and a few laughs and stuff.
Go to the cinema, see epic great films like Interstellar.
Yeah, moving swiftly along, though we did see Contact there, so that was...
We did, yeah.
So it just, the fact that you have to factor in travel expenses and all the rest to go is not, and I don't mean to sound blasé, is not the fault of the show. It has to be somewhere. They picked a place that is reasonably central to the country.
Yep.
Which, Lord, thank you, is not London. Because that's anything but central.
And let me just say, Drew, if it was held in London, people complaining about the cost of the show and the cost of everything, that would be an education.
That's exactly my point. I make the argument, I don't really think of London as part of the UK. I think of London as being like Singapore. It's an island state within this country. But if you threw if you threw something up in the air on a map of the UK and wanted it to land in the middle, it would pretty much land on Telford, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's pretty central. It's well known. It's a good venue. So if you don't want to pay for it, don't go. It's that simple. End of argument, as far as I'm concerned.
Mike Reeves makes a very good point. At least Scale Model World is drivable, which it is in the UK, where most US NATs require airfare for most of the country.
And that's the thing, is that you're looking at such a different show in the US Nationals.
Mm.
And I understand why they move it around. You know, to give everybody a chance. You know, it makes perfect sense given just the sheer size of the United States.
I was going to say,
It makes
yeah,
perfect sense. To
we're
move it
gonna.
around.
I'm gonna let Rob Monfils, one of the show organisers, have the last word on this. And Rob says it's also a massive social, so good for everyone's mental health too. And I agree with that, Rob. Absolutely,
Yes.
it's not something we tend to talk about much on this show, but absolutely. Oh, look who's just rocked up.
Yeah, some
Goodness
bloke who lives a 10-minute drive from the venue.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet he's complaining about the price of getting there. Anyway, right. Any other business?
No, my corollary rant will wait till next week.
Your what?
I have another rant, but it'll wait till next week. It's not a rant. It's not.
No, go for it tonight, Drew.
It's a discussion point. Well, I don't want to.
All right. No, okay. We'll save it for next week then. No, I haven't got anything else. Have I got anything else tonight? No, I haven't. Other than just to say, hang about. I'm just trying to call something up here. No, I was just going to say, I walked up to see my mum this afternoon. Hello, Mum. And given that I've lived in this part of Somerset for nearly 50 years, I ended up walking 2 places today that I'd never done before, which just seemed utterly remarkable. And yeah, it was just. I'll see if I can bring up the pictures. Actually, bore you all with this, but yeah, it was like a little footpath that went from Slade Road up to West Hill, and it was vertiginous. It was really quite steep, but came across a pile of wild poppies that were growing by the side of the path and everything. And it was honestly, Drew, it was an education to suddenly be walking past somewhere for the best part of God knows how many decades, and especially the number of times I walked past this when I used to go to school. Never realised there was a footpath there.
There you go.
And it was absolutely brilliant. And the other one that I did, oh, there we go. The talents turned up. The other one I did was the zigzag path, and that was brilliant as well. But we'll talk about that another time.
People have met Fred. This is Squirt.
Yeah, hello, Squirt. On that note, I will just say thank you to Drew and Squirt for joining us this evening. I don't know where Derp is. Derp is sat on the office chair here at the moment. So the cats are taking over the show. So on that note, I'd just like to say thank you to Drew for giving of his time tonight. Thank you to everybody who tuned in this evening. We do appreciate your custom, and I look forward to seeing some of you at Telford in a couple of weeks' time, mate.
I know. Yeah, I've got to get building.
Yeah, stop slacking, man, for goodness sake. So on that note,
I don't think that's bad for a day's work.
I think you're doing I think you know what you're doing. This is when Andy said to me, do I want to build an F-35 for Telford? My immediate reaction was no, but I know a man who does. And there we go. Always looking out for me mates, I am. There we go. So on that note, we'll hopefully see you next Sunday. Until then, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Take care all.